Hey, what's up YouTube? In this video, I'm going to be bringing you another house tutorial. You guys really seem to enjoy the last house that I made, so I thought that I'd make a few more in a similar style. So if you want to make it, here's what you're going to need. You don't need very many materials whatsoever. So you'll need a block of quartz, dark grey wool, both types of glass. You'll also need some iron doors, and finally, if we ever intend on opening up those doors, we'll also need some buttons as well. So once you've got all of your materials, and once you've figured out where you want to make it, I'm going to be making it right here. You're going to want to start this off with a row of 4 blocks of quartz coming directly up from the floor. So 1, 2, 3, 4. You then want to go to the right of that top block of quartz by 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You then want to connect that 6th block to the ground to give you a little archway like that. Or even better, the letter N. What you then want to do, once you've got your letter N, is directly on top of it, you pretty much want to do the exact same thing. So starting from this block right here, you're going to want to go up by 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then go to the right of that 4th block by 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then just connect that block to the block of quartz slightly below it to give you the letter A. So once you've got your letter A, this is what you want to do. From these 4 points right here that make up the upper part of the A, you're going to want to do 4 rows of 6 quartz coming directly towards you. Let me show you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And here as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And the top 2 corners as well. I'm not going to count these out. I'm just going to line them up with the other 2 rows of 6 that we have. But once you've done that, you're going to want to have something which should look exactly like that, and unfortunately there are no letters that I can equate to this. This is letter A+. Oh, and by the way, whilst I'm here, I really wanted to do this at the start of the tutorial, but it slipped my mind. A subscriber asked me if I could point out where the entrance of the house is going to be on every single build. Well, this is the entrance of the house. This right here. This is the front of the house that we're looking at right now, the direction of the house. So there you go, information that some of you may want. Continuing on, what you want to do once you have your 4 rows of 6 quartz is you're just going to want to connect them together to make a rectangular shape, like this. You're just going to want to do that, which will result in a big giant rectangle floating in the air. So pause that if necessary, of course. Once you have your rectangle, we just have one more thing to do on this side of the house. You're going to want to come over to the right hand side of your rectangle, and this is somewhat difficult to explain. A lot of this is going to be from this block here, and this is exactly what I'm going to have to do. From this block here, underneath this quartz block, you're just going to want to connect this quartz block to the ground with a row of 3 quartz, like so. Then, from the same block that you just connected to the ground, you're going to want to do a row of 7 quartz coming directly towards you. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You then want to connect that 7th block to the ground to give you a shape which should look, from the front view, exactly like that. So once you've done that, and pause that if necessary of course, it's time for us to move over to the left hand side of our house. Brought to you by the letter P. So you're going to want to locate this block right here. I'll give you guys a moment to find it. Once you've found it, you're going to want to do a row of 5 quartz from this block coming towards what will be the back of your house. So from here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You then want to connect that 5th block to the ground. So like this. What you then want to do is coming to the back of what you've just made, from this corner block right here, you're going to want to go to the left by 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. You then want to reconnect that 4th block back to the front part of the house to give you a shape which should look exactly like that. I'll give you guys a couple of views. So number 1 and number 2. Pause that where applicable. Once you've done that, we're going to do a similar thing a couple of rows higher. So we're going to first have to place a block to allow us to do this. So from this block right here, just place a block, well, right here, directly next to it. What you then want to do from this block is pretty much what we've already done. You want to do a row of 5 quartz coming towards the back of the house. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then to the left by 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then again back towards the front of the house until it reconnects to the front part of the house like this, which should give you something which should look exactly like that, the letter U. Sesame Street, Ltd. What you then want to do whilst we're here is you're just going to want to turn this U into an O, so you're just going to want to add this row right here. Like that. I was going to do that when we worked on the roof, but may as well do it here. So once you've done that, and pause that if necessary of course, it's time for us to work on the back of the house. So what you're going to want to do, from this block right here, place a block directly in front of it, and then you're just going to want to connect that block to the ground, so like that. You then want to go up on top of that block that you placed and then connect it to the floor by 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then from that 6th block you're going to want to go to the left by 8. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Then connect that 8th block to the ground. Like, damn it, I keep doing that. Like this. Once you've got your giant archway, pause this if necessary, it's time for us to turn this into another letter A. So from this block right here, this 4th block coming up from the bottom, you're just going to want to connect this over to the other column of quartz, which, as I said, should give you a nice large letter A, like that. So once you have a giant letter A on the back of your house, there is nothing more left for us to do here. It's time for us to move on to the 4th and final side of our house. So come over to the right hand side of your house and do this. Come up to the top of this row that we have on the right hand side here, and from this block you're going to want to do a row of 6 quartz coming over towards the front of the house. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You then want to connect that 6th block to the ground, so all the way down to give you a shape which should look like that. What you then want to do, coming towards the front of the house here, from this block, you're just going to want to run a row of quartz that comes all the way over towards the back of the house. It's kind of hard to explain, so I'm just going to do it. You're just going to want to first do a row of quartz that connects to the row that you've just made there, and then it wants to go through that row and connect to the back of the house to form a shape which should look exactly like that. So pause that if necessary of course. Once you've done that, we just have 2 more rows of quartz to add to our house. So you're going to want to come into the front of your house now. From this block right here, do a row of 8 quartz coming over the front of your house towards the left hand side. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Then you just want to connect that 8th block to the back of the house like this. So just exactly like that, just to give you guys an aerial view. As a matter of fact, I may as well encapsulate all of it in this. You're just going to want to have something which should look like that. Just a load of squares and rectangles all formed together like this. So let me just show you the side of the house once more. Pause that if necessary, of course. Let me give you guys a little bit of a front view. So from the front, you're going to want to have something which should look exactly like that. So pause that if necessary, of course. So once you've done that, it's time for us to move on to the next stage. And before we add any detail, I think that we're going to do the 2nd floor of the house. I think that's exactly what we should do. So I designed the 2nd floor of the house to be made entirely out of quartz. So let me just show you what I mean. I mean that the floor, the second level, the base layer of it is just entirely block of quartz, as I'm doing now. And I'm just going to fill in the entire second level with quartz before we add any detail, since some of it, like some of the wall and some of the glass, like sits behind like the frame of the house, and it's just going to be easier if it has something to rest on. It'll be both easier for me and you. So as I said, I'm just going to quickly fill the whole second level in, and I know there's not much, but I'm going to cut out and I'll be back once I've finished adding in all of the quartz. So I have just finished adding in all of the quartz into the second floor of the house. Doesn't it look nice? Nice and clean, nice and classy, nice and smooth. For those of you that may be wondering, the reason that I chose quartz for the entire second floor is because I definitely wanted the balcony to just be made out of quartz, and I also wanted the balcony to fade seamlessly into the house, so it was a no-brainer. I figured I'd just make the entire second floor quartz. If you guys want to change that, feel free. As I always say, change anything you want about this house whatsoever. Make it out of wolfrike, maybe even glowstone, completely up to you. I made it quartz. So that is what it should look like once it's been completely filled in. I don't think I really have to go into any detail. It should be fairly straightforward, so I'm not going to. So once you have filled that entire second floor in with quartz, and pause this if necessary, if you're still doing that, it's time for us to do some details here and about the house. So all we're going to be doing, first of all, is just filling in these empty panels that we have everywhere around the house, and I think we will start with the entrance. So come down to, well, where it all first started off, the first archway right here, and unfortunately most of this detail is going to have to be kind of I do it and then show you. It's not really stuff that's very easy to explain. So the first panel, I'm just going to do it as I said and then show you what it looks like afterwards, sits one block behind the actual outline of the house, the actual outline that is the quartz, like this. And it's very simple. As I said, most of these panels are very simple indeed. They're just difficult to explain, as you might imagine. So I just realised that we're going to need a button above that door if we ever hope to get inside. So that is what you want to have for the first panel of the house. That is the entrance. Pause that if necessary, of course. Once you've done that, it's time for us to do panel number 2, which is this one right here, right next to the entrance. And it consists of 2 strips of dark grey, and then the rest is just glass pane. So it's just going to want to look exactly like this. Don't worry, that glass pane will look normal once we do the next panel. So pause that if necessary, of course. That is what you want for the second panel of the house. Let's move on to the next one. So on the front of the house, we may as well knock all of these out. Let's start with the front of our floating rectangle. So it's very simple, just 2 strips of dark grey on either side, and then a load of glass pane in between, just 3 strips, which should look exactly like that. Pause that if necessary, of course. Once you've done that, it's time for us to do, let's do this large panel here to fix the second panel of the house. So it consists here of just a few bits of dark grey in the middle and 2 strips on the left and right hand side, and then we have a formation of glass pane which looks like a letter H. So that is what you want for the largest panel on the front of the house. Very simple indeed. Pause that if necessary, of course. Once you've done that, I was going to move around the left hand side, but we may as well just knock out the balcony whilst we're here. So first of all, let's take care of this other side of our rectangle. So for this, all you're going to want to do, and I'm just going to have to consult my old pal Mr. Plans, just going to want to do 2 little bits of dark grey right there, and then just glass pane everywhere else. Like that. So that is what you want for the side panel of our rectangle. Pause that if necessary, of course. Once you've done that, we can do the balcony, and there's really not too much to do. All you want to do, in front of that dark grey there, place a block of quartz, and then just run a row of glass pane all the way around the edge of the balcony to stop anybody falling off. It also affirms that it's actually a balcony if you put the glass there, or at least it does in my eyes. If you leave it off, it's just kind of a surface of the house, but if you add the glass pane, I think it's quite obvious. These are my thoughts. Very simple. That is what you want to do for the balcony. Pause out if necessary, of course. Once you've done that, again, I was going to move over that left side, but whilst we're here, we may as well take care of the entrance to the balcony. So, very simple indeed. First of all, we run a row of dark grey to here, and then a door goes there with some grey wool above it so we can actually open it. Go on, place. Alright, fine. We'll do it that way round. Doesn't matter which way we have to do it, door. You're getting opened. Originally, by the way, until I just realised that was glass block just above the door, but then I of course realised that there was then no way to open it. Yeah. Anyway. Then what you want to do after you have done that particular bit is you're just going to want to do some glass pane, and it runs all the way around. I'm going to give you guys a better view of this. So, this is what you want to have for the front entrance onto the balcony. I said front entrance, I have no idea why. The only entrance onto the balcony. There's no other way up unless of course you scale it with a grappling hook. So that is the entrance to the balcony. Pause that if necessary, of course. Let me just show you what I did on the side of the house here. So the side of the house, as you notice, I just carried the glass pane that I used on the entrance of the balcony all the way around just to connect to there and give us a little bit of a high window. So very simple indeed. Pause that if necessary. And in finishing that, we've actually done all of the panels on the front of the house. So now, finally, let's move over to the left-hand side here where we have our P. Oh, do love to pee. So, we may as well finish this side of the rectangle, the third and final side. And all you want to do is just fill that in completely in with dark grey, like that. Very simple indeed. Pause that if necessary, of course. Once you've done that, let's come down and fill in this tiny little panel, which is very simple. You just do a little tiny dark grey archway and then fill everywhere else in with glass pane. As I said, extremely simple. Pause that if necessary, of course. Once you've done that, this one is slightly more complicated. So we're going to want to do something similar to what we did to the entrance of the balcony with that high window. We're just going to run 2 rows of glass pane, if I can place it. This is why I hate glass pane. If I can place it, that connect from the side of the house to the back of the house like this. So it's the exact same thing, and it should give you something which should look exactly like this. So just to give you a side view here, pause that if necessary, and to give you a back view, very simple indeed. Pause that if necessary. That just wants to go all the way around there. I really like that window scheme. I don't know why. So, now we have officially done all of the windows on the side of the house, just to give you guys a nice little look at all of it. Very simple indeed. Pause that if necessary, of course. Let's do all of them on the back of the house. So we'll start with this tiny little one right here, which just has 2 strips of dark grey and a strip of glass pane directly up the middle. Very simple. Pause that if necessary, of course. Let's do this rectangle that we have here on the back, the bottom section. So you're just going to want to have 3 little rows of dark grey separated in the bottom of the window, and then there is just glass pane everywhere else. Very simple indeed. That is what you want for the bottom portion. Pause that if necessary, of course. Now, we do have this large window here, but it is heavily connected to the window that we have on the side, so I'm going to do that all together. So, coming over onto the 4th side of the house, I'm going to knock out these 2 bottom panels first, and then we'll concentrate on this big one. So, for the 2 bottom panels that we have on this side of the house, very simple. This right one, first of all, is just a large archway with glass pane in the middle, like this. Then, pause that if necessary, of course, this one right here, this particular panel is sunk in by 1 block, and you use glass block and then you have these two holes in the middle which you just want to fill with dark grey to give you something which should look exactly like that. And I'm just showing you both panels together since they are very easy. So pause that if necessary, of course. That is what you want for that. Let's move on to this large window slash panel that we have here. As I said, it is quite heavily connected to the back part. So first of all, you're just going to want to draw what is essentially a giant E in dark grey wool like this for this side part. So it's just going to want to look exactly like that. Very simple indeed. Pause that if necessary, of course. Once you've done that, you're going to want to come over to the back part of our house, and the bottom part of our E is going to want to stretch all the way over the back of the house right here, all the way over to the right hand side of the panel, and then come all the way up to the top like this. The second part of the E is going to want to come almost all the way over to the right hand side but stop one short. Then this top one here just wants to stretch across over by 2 to give you something which should look exactly like that. Pause that if necessary, of course. Once you've done that, you then want to take out your glass pane, and you're just going to want to, in between the E, or whatever you really want to call it, in between the dark grey wall, you're just going to want to do glass pane to fill it in, and it wants to follow all the way round. So it wants to start on the back of the house like this, and come over to the side of the house like that. Very simple indeed. So I thought that I'd give you guys a nice bright view of the two panels that we've just completed, as it was a little bit dark whilst we were doing them. So this is the back portion. Pause this if necessary, of course, and this is the side portion. Pause this if necessary, of course. They weren't particularly complicated, but I just wanted you guys to have a nice bright view of what they should look like. And once you've done that, all we have to do now to finish off the exterior of the house is add on the roof, or as a matter of fact the roofs, there's multiple. So come up to the top of the house and we will take care of the smallest one first, which is this one right here. So this small roof that we have here, you just want to fill it in entirely with dark grey wool, like that. Very simple indeed. And now for the other two roofs, which follow the same pattern, and they are very easy as well. So eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Let's do the big one first. All you have to do here is just outline or inline, I don't know what to call it. You want to do like a rectangle of dark grey inside the quartz rectangle that you have for the top of the roof, like that. And then you just want to fill inside of that dark grey rectangle in with glass block. I mean, the explanation for that is really horrible, but you guys can see what I mean. Very simple to do, very simple. So that is what you want for the first roof, and as a matter of fact, that is exactly what you want for the second roof as well. You just want to do the exact same thing. So just outline the quartz, or inline, I don't know what I'm talking about, and then just do the glass block like that. And once you finish that, you should end up with something that should look exactly like this. Very easy. So pause that if necessary, of course. Once you've done all of the roofs, that is the entire exterior of the house done. And let me just show you guys what that is supposed to look like. Let me take off the UI and give you a nice 360-degree view of the house, because the actual tutorial part of this house is over. All I'm going to do now is go into the interior, put down a new floor for the ground floor, and put in some stairs. And I'm going to cut out to do that, by the way. So I have just finished doing the interior for the house, if you want to call it an interior. All I've really done is laid a carpet and put up some stairs. And I won't be showing you guys how to do any of this, obviously. I think it's very self-explanatory. So the first things first, a little PSA that I always like to do whenever I do a house. If you guys are going to redo the floor inside the ground floor of the house, remember to replace underneath the blocks that you can see underneath of with your new material of choice. For example here, dark grey. Remember to just replace underneath them, it just looks a little better. That's a little PSA that I always like to put out. And then the second thing that I want to mention is the stairs placement. So it actually took me a little while to figure out where I'd actually like the stairs to be, and I finally discerned that I'd like them to be in this corner here. You actually have to be kind of careful. If you're not careful, you'll either end up burrowing onto the onto the balcony, which I've done a couple of times, or you'll end up just quite simply blocking the entrance to the house. So I figured I'd put them in this corner. I wouldn't go too flashy with the stairs, just make them as small as possible, because I wanted them to be usable. I wanted the house to actually... I wanted you to be able to maneuver around it like an actual house rather than just a display piece, which is what I usually make. But I do usually like to try and make them, like, well, livable is the word that I was going to use. It's a little crazy since it's just Minecraft, but livable is probably the best way to describe it. So, placement for the stairs right there, make them as small as possible if you actually plan on using the house, that's all. And be careful not to burrow onto the balcony, which I did many a time. And that is pretty much all I wanted to say. That's all I wanted to show you with the interior of the house. You guys know that I don't furnish these things. I don't do any of that. That is not my bag, man, going back to the 70s. So there you have it. That is the house 100% officially over. There is nothing more for me to show you with the house. I know that you guys... Well, I do get quite a lot of comments on older videos especially asking if I will furnish these houses. Interiors are not my deal. I can't do it. I don't care about it. All I really do like is the fact that they can be somewhat functional so that the floors and stairs and what have you make sense, and I care that they look good. That's really it. So you'll never see me make an interior, I'm sorry. I just like the outside of the houses and to a certain extent the inside of the houses. So that's all I have to say. I hope that you guys had an easy enough time making the house. I hope it was straightforward enough to follow. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one. I have a couple more houses in the same line as this one. Hey, if you enjoyed this video, maybe you should think about subscribing. I have plenty more stuff like this on my channel. I have tutorials ranging from YouTube statues, skin statues, houses, pixel art, the list goes on. Thanks for watching.